natural. Natural. You're a natural. Right. Okay. Yes. So, yeah, how you doing? Hello, everyone. Let's see who's in. Yeah. So, yeah, good to see you all again. Well, I'm not seeing you, but I mean, you can see me, but all I can see is some names up on the chat. So, yeah, what I was going to do today was do a Brunaille. I mean, the French probably call it Brunaille or something like that, but it's the kind of a warm version of a grisaille, which is the grey one. So, and I was taught this in about 40 minutes by a guy called Ted Jones, who was a painter here in Dublin. You know, real sort of Dublin, salt of the earth kind of guy. Great sort of great painter. He could paint amazing paintings. And he was very popular as well. He's kind of an unusual character. He was able to just drop everything and walk away from everything at the drop of a hat. So he could leave everything behind him and just go off and never come back. It was just kind of unusual thing, and he did that when he was about 16, and he left his home in Dublin and went to the States. And when he got to the States, he decided to join the U.S. Marines during Vietnam, and he ended up as a sniper in Vietnam. It was an amazing story, and but you know, he could also walk away from family life and everything, and just go, and that was he did that a couple of times anyway, as far as I know. But anyway, he could really paint well, and he just in about 40 minutes, I went round to his apartment, and he just showed me this technique that he used. And I'd kind of known about grisailles and brunailles before, but I'd never painted one. And he just painted this character, like a head and shoulders of a character he made up from his own memory or mind. And it was really great. And I still have it somewhere. I wish I could put my hand on it. It's in my stores somewhere. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to show you. And I'll show you the colours I use. I use a slightly different one than he did. So what he used was some usual suspects. So I suppose that's ultramarine blue. So that's acrylic, ultramarine blue, burnt sienna. Okay, acrylics again, all acrylics, of course. And that's the twist that I mentioned in my sort of little preamble that I sent out a couple of days ago, and you know that this obviously acrylics, they didn't have that in the days of Caravaggio and that, but so they would have had to do their grisailles and their brunailles sort of in oils, I suppose, and we don't have to do that. We don't have to wait ages for the thing to set, so we can paint over it in colour. So, and this one here is you can only get this, as far as I know, in the Sennelier range, and it's called Warm Bright Yellow. I think it's a lovely colour. Now, Ted Jones, he used something called pale terracotta, I think, which is in the Winsor & Newton range. And the last thing, and this is only for highlights, is titanium white. Okay, so just those four paints there. But it's very important, a couple of things. It's very important to do this in the best quality acrylics, the artist ones. Winsor & Newton call their acrylics professional. So there really is a difference. I think there's a bigger difference between professional acrylics and student acrylics. You know, in the acrylics ranges, in all of them, like cheap acrylics are worse than cheap oils, if you see what I mean, because they're much more complicated animals anyway. There's a whole load of things in here that you just don't get in oils. One of them being humectants, which I'd never heard of before I went to a talk by a representative from Golden Paints. Golden's an American paint company, also very good paints. But I get on with the Winsor & Newton professionals really well. I like them. I kind of used Liquitex for a while, on the recommendation of an artist that I really admire, but actually found I didn't really like them. They've got unusual colours, all right, but I prefer the feel of the Winsor & Newton. And I'm not attached to Winsor & Newton in any way. I don't have any relationship with them other than being a customer. The other thing to do with this technique is that everything, when you paint it, needs to be flat. So no lumps and bumps in your painting, so keep everything flat. All right, so with that said, what else is there to say about this? I'm going to paint on a board. You've probably seen when I flashed through those different screens what I'm going to paint. And let me just, is there anything else I need to do? Oh yes, the brushes I'm going to use are short-handled ones because I keep knocking off the camera while I'm painting. And water. That's all you need for this. Okay. So, like, have any of you ever done Brunailles or Grisailles before? If you're not familiar with the terminology, Grisaille, Grisaille, French word, and Brunaille is just the brown version of it. Okay, so it kind of looks vaguely sepia toned. And I've even done entire paintings which consist mostly of the Brunaille, and then just little bits of colour, you know, just to add just some colour to a painting. I think I've even got one painting which is, there is no other colour other than those ones in it. So it can be done. You know, you just, you know, the burnt sienna replaces your bright reds. So everything's kind of toned down. I really like it anyway. And it's also simpler to paint. You know, you're not worrying about colour so much because you can't get the colour. It's mostly about tone. Right, so let me just change this. Yes, I'll set out the palette first. Okay, so I'm using a oh, that's not very hey Waverley, you've done Grisaille before with acrylics. Yeah, okay, great. Okay, so I wonder how different this will be to what you do. Let me just get my camera control up again, because that doesn't look great. It's called Camus. What's going on? Right, here we go. So it's palette. Focus. Undo it. That's terrible, isn't it? Isn't that terrible? I'll do it until I can see the label properly. Oh no, tell me what's going on here. Okay, hang on. Now, palette, okay. Right, so focus. Just bear with me for a second. Oh, is it going to play up again, is it? Yeah, that's it. Ah, there we go. That looks better, doesn't it? Just around about there. My goodness. Okay, there we go. Miles, you've done Grisaille before, okay. I'd be interested to hear from both of you what you use to make a Grisaille. I've also used a coloured glaze on top. Yes, that's right, because, oh, that was the thing I meant to mention, was that this is a two-part demonstration. I'll glaze over colour next week. Okay, so let me just, yes, put out the paints. So, as usual, I'm only going to put out a little bit of this. It doesn't, I don't want to have much. It's not required. The warm bright yellow. It's kind of flesh coloured. There's another paint that, I'm not sure which range does it, but they call it flesh tint. See, look, fleshy colour. And maybe I better use a bit more of that actually. All right. And then the burnt sienna. And yes, the thing about this is, I said that I did an entire painting just using these colours. I think the painting would be less attractive if it was done as a grisaille. I don't think that would be successful. The point about these colours is it kind of looks good when it's finished because it's warm, I suppose. Okay, and so there's my paint, there are my brushes, and let me just change this to that. Look, there's my test card. Put that on there. There. Okay, so I don't need to do a wash particularly on this occasion. Put my water there. That looks a bit dark, doesn't it? The palette. Let me have a look. Palette looks a bit dark, so I'm going to increase the gain on that. Just give me a second. It's awful hard to get these things perfectly right. Is that if I go right up there? What happens? Didn't seem to make a blind bit of difference. Let's see if the brightness does something. Ah, that looked a bit better. So it's gain on one thing, but brightness on the other. Okay. Right. Right, so I'm going to do a drawing first. Okay, so I've got the thing live in front of me. You're looking at a photograph of it above, so. Better measure it first. It's a little bit wider than its height, so I'm kind of governed by the height. And it's a little bit higher than that. There. Something like that. So where's the center? What's in the center? Maybe the center of that green pot. If there's a center line, the pot is just to the right of it. Okay, let me give myself another center line across there. So the pot is around about here, and it doesn't come down to the very bottom. The thing about this as well is that it's a very forgiving way of painting as well, because you're not dealing with colour, you're just dealing with tone. So that comes across there, and it crosses the line, the centre line. And then we've got this sort of pot there. It comes there like that, but it doesn't reach the bottom there, and it goes higher than the centre line across the middle there. Oh. So Waverley, you use black and white. Just black and white. Acrylic, glazed with acrylic or oil on top, yeah. Yeah. Yes, I would imagine that would make a kind of a very, very grey, a quite cold result. I mean, if you're going to glaze colour over it, what harm? But I found that the Brunaille, it lends the painting a flavour which you might not have had anyway. Had you painted it a la prima in oils or whatever, it kind of gives the painting something else, a bit of depth or something. Right, there's my drawing. I'm going to try and get away with not using a hairdryer too much in this because it's an awful noise. Maybe I could turn off the microphone when I do it. But, so now I am going to put on a little bit of a wash, and then I'll use the hairdryer. That was me bashing off the tin mug that I've got my water in. Okay, so the idea is to make greys in this, you know, even if they are warm greys, they're greys nonetheless. Okay, so I'm going to start out with some darks. So burnt sienna plus blue, some darks. That bottle at the back, for example, up there, and then the back of this bottle, and it's dark across the top as well. A little bit dark there. You can hear me shifting around in my seat. I always find with acrylics that the initial stages of the painting, the brush drags on the surface. It doesn't have that pleasant oleaginous feel, you know, that oils has. And that's a bit darker there. Feel that. And that sort of that drags lessens as you go. You know, becomes easier as you go on in the painting in acrylics. And oils, I find, is much faster to get a painting done. It's just the initial stage. Right, I'm going to turn off this microphone while I use the hairdryer. Oh, that one. How do I do that? Must be a way. Oh yeah, here we go. Right, I'm back. Can you hear me? I've never turned off the microphone mid race before. Put that dark there. That's a dark there because it's reflecting down that bottle behind. That's dark there. Oh, hang on, let's have a look at you, Miles. Let's see, what have you got? A mix of Prussian blue and raw umber for the darkest with white to lighten. Okay, interesting one. Isn't it interesting, though, that we've got a mix of approaches? People have got different recipes. And that's kind of dark down here. Okay. Across there, there's a dark on that lip of that bouchon there. There we go. Now, I'm going to use a little bit of the warm bright yellow into this and of course you get a grey. And as it goes across, it gets lighter, so I'm going to put more warm bright yellow. It's not really a yellow, is it? It's kind of an odd colour. I wonder what the pigment is. I can go out a bit more. It's a bit more substantial than I have it there. Get a bit of dark. Yeah, I've used Prussian blue before, and it's one of those paints. It's a bit like phthalo blue. It kind of, if you don't control yourself, it gets everywhere. I can go across there, and there. Now the foreground is much lighter than the rest of the. Is lighter than the ceramic jug there. Can you hear it rattling around on the surface of the easel? And that goes up there. We're still at the dragging paint stage. I want to get that little lump off there. Don't want any lumps. So if you get lumps, I suppose, what happens then is if when you put a glaze on it, it might start to pool in between sort of raised parts of the paint, and that doesn't help. So something that's darker than the. I'm going to put in the dark first of the shadow falling behind that bottle. A bit more of that warm bright yellow into it, which is darker than the foreground. But lighter than the objects. Fill that in there. Now, this thing here is lighter than I have it. Feeling my way forward on this. There. I think this is one of the most forgiving ways of painting. And it has its own charm. And the other thing is, I suppose it's not as exciting as you're not painting without the aid of a safety net like you are with alla prima. But the results do tend to be different anyway. They have their own sort of look to them. Fill in some of those areas that don't have any paint on them. And I'm going to turn off the microphone and use the hairdryer again. You probably saw me using my finger there. That was just to smooth down any areas that I thought were had little raised bits in them, because I don't want them. Now Ted Jones, I remember him telling me quite clearly that he said he never used a hairdryer because it did something to the paint, and I just have to disagree on that. I never found it did anything deleterious to the paint. And because I was doing illustrations for newspapers, it's all in a kind of tearing rush. You couldn't not use a hairdryer. You'd be there all bloody day doing things. I'm going to be interested to hear if any of you found that you did have problems. There, and there's that thing down there. Back to that shadow being cast, which is not that dark, but dark enough here. Okay. Back to that ceramic thing. I'm going to bring that up a bit. It's far too low. And that's the other thing about this, is that it's so forgiving that you can do things like this. And I'll tell you later on why I like this technique so much. And it's not about doing still lifes, because I nearly do them exclusively as alla prima. So I don't know why I'm being coy. I mean, it's not, this is the way I do all my narrative paintings. So if I've got a painting to do which tells a story somehow, I never really know what their story is at the beginning. So I like to build up the painting and add in bits as the story reveals itself to me. It's obviously I'm dragging it out of my own sort of head, but it doesn't come to me in a flash. I think for me it's seldom ever sort of come at me like that. I've always built up the stories. There's a bit of a ridge there, don't want that, get that off. I also might sort of bring that over a little bit, and that's the thing here as well. The drawing is important, but with this technique you could change your drawing mostly at will. That's what I like about it so much. Okay, and then the foreground is actually lighter, so it's practically pure warm bright yellow. Come across there like that. It's still at the stage where the paint is dragging on the surface. Now there is a shadow here. that is different as well. Then I have it there. Bring that up there. Oh, let's have a look. What did you say there, Waverley? Using a hairdryer and enamel paint. You went very matte and rough. Okay, yeah, okay. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, I mean, I never recall acrylic paint going matte and rough. I think that may have been the what was in Ted Jones's mind. I just haven't experienced it myself. But having said that, because I was an illustrator, it meant that you would really want to have matte paintings because they scan better. You know, you want paintings to be as non-reflective as possible, which is why designers used to use gouache. You know, designer's gouache they called it, and because it dries matte. And so that's a good thing in the world of reproduction and illustration. But as I say, I just never noticed it happening. So, or at least I never noticed it as a bad thing. Right, I need to get that dark around the lip of this. There. And that can come up a wee bit. And that can come up a wee bit there. And I have to give the background another coating. Even though I have a kind of a red in this burnt sienna, I'm not interested in making this part red. It's got to be a grey. I think that's for those of you who haven't done a grisaille or a brunaille before. It's the greyness that you're after, the tonal variations only. An artist told me, I can't remember who it was, but I thought it was an interesting point, is that if you're trying to sell paintings, you'll sell a warm painting faster than you will a cool one. And the funny thing is you do go, like when you go to these art sales, and it does make a difference. What do people want to look at? Well, that background's getting better now. So I'm going to I'll be changing my brush pretty soon. To this one. I've got my fire roaring in the background, which is great. I managed to sort of think of getting the supplies of logs in on time this year. Usually that isn't the case. But so here's a slightly lighter tone on the side of this bottle. And then it goes lighter again as he comes around the front of this. It's nice not to work in colour. So I suppose it's like a bit like doing a pencil drawing, isn't it? Actually come down here a little bit, come across there, there's a dark there, a definite dark, and then it goes slightly lighter across the top. whacking off the camera again. That sounds obscene. Now, I'm going to turn this into a comedy program now. Oh, I see another comment there. I'm just going to get this in and refer to it. Waverley. Probably don't apply acrylic thick enough to need to wait very long for it to dry in sunny Scotland. Yeah. I'm sure sunny Scotland's as bad as it's here. We did get a summer this year. There, dark in there, that's... One of the most successful paintings I ever did, you know, in terms of, I was so pleased with it, and it seemed to be well received, was done exactly this way, and it was mostly this. I'm not sure how I can even show it to you, but I'm going to put a little line under that one there. There. And then there's a line coming around here. That's going to have to do something with the corner of this. Now there's a reflection lighter than the surrounding areas running down here. And also along here. And here, running up from that bottle there, I'm starting to get the recording some of the details. That's a bit lighter there. That runs up the side of that bit of the glass as well, and up here. That's dark. I need to sort of consider what you were saying there, Waverley. Come down there like that. I think I'm going to push that out a bit further. I think I'm going to start looking for new mounts for my cameras. There must be an easier way than that. There's a kind of a lightish tone just across there and there. There's a reflection of the pink background coming across there like that and up onto the top at the back. There's a lightish tone here running up to the neck of the bottle. And then that lightens up underneath there. There's a lot of crap on the edge of that, this part here. just from, I don't know, just been lying around in my studio for years and years. I'm not going to pay too much attention to it. And then it goes bright, or at least as bright as the that green object beside it. Right, so let's grab some, clean the brush, grab some of the pure, warm, bright yellow. The good thing about this is it doesn't get too bright. You know, it's not like the titanium white. We have the titanium white for when we're near at the end. There, there's a half one there. There's another big one there, full one. One there, and one there on the lid. Right, I need to shape that lid, so I'm going to go over the background again. I want to read your comment again. You probably don't apply acrylic thick enough to need to wait very long to dry. Yeah, okay. You're using acrylic in quite a thin way. Here I'm using it neat, I have to say so. Here we go. Around the back of that one there. Let's get my smaller brush. Try and shape this. It's like a honeycomb, I presume, and maybe it's a little honey pot. I found it in a charity shop somewhere. It's hard to get my hand around that angle. Complete that. Make sure that's flat. Make sure that's complete. Now, I need a nice light around the top of that honey pot thing. I've had it for years, I don't know what it is. I keep seeing them in the charity shops, the same one. It must have come from somewhere like, you know, one of the multiple stores. Lots of people buying them and getting rid of them. They get sick of them. Going around there. Let's see this thing here now. Is that dark enough? Not dark enough. I realise I think I have a soporific voice. I'm sending you to sleep. I'm sending myself to sleep. Yeah, up there like that. In the back a bit more. Now. Oh yeah. Just keep my mind on what I'm doing. possibly a little bit too slender, this thing at the moment, so I'm going to cut it back with the background again. Cut it back so it's a little bit dumpier. It kind of lends itself to fine work, I think. Okay, and now back into the foreground. Use my large brush again because I've got a large area to cover. That needed a bit of extra coverage there. Paint's starting to flow on a bit much better now. So we're not getting near the highlights. Let me just shape that shadow a little bit. I'll probably need another coat along here because that things are showing through still at the moment. Right, coming up near the... Oh, here we go, Miles. What do you say? Perhaps you should aim some videos at the ASMR viewers to capitalize. Yeah, I keep seeing ASMR. I'm not really sure what it means because I thought it was just sound, but then I keep seeing it in relation to the things that are not sound. So I'm not really. I'm a bit confused. Yeah. Going up nearer the highlights now. There, for instance, some lines around there. That's lighter. That's surely lighter. It's probably reflecting the surface on which this sits. Now that shadow is a bit darker at the front of it. There. And then it gets lighter as it goes towards the back. So that needs a bit of attention there. Any sort of softening of the shadow can be done at the oil glazing stage. Now, going in with some darks again, just to restate some of the darks. You're going to have to look up that ASMR sort of thing. I hate not knowing what things mean. Why is we so ignorant, Dad? No. There. There's some darker darks in that neck. And definitely a darker dark around here. And in here too. That's definitely dark there. And I need to go across the back of that bottle there. Actually, do you know what? First of all, oh no, I'll go back across the back first. I've lost my dark. Hang on. and then into the, to push that away. It's kind of light in the middle of it. There. And also, you see that, oh, I whacked it again there. There. Put that in there. Okay. I wouldn't mind just restating this part again. That's got to be darker than that. Here. I went to a gallery in Bologna one time because I was at the Children's Book Fair on a kind of a junket kind of thing, and there was a whole gallery of paintings by the one artist, I think, who did them all. They were most of them, as far as I can remember, were Brunailles, and I kind of just hadn't been painting Brunailles that long at that stage, and I was delighted to see it. You know. Move that up. Now, let's have a look. So let's grab some pure warm bright yellow. So and these are highlights, but not the brightest highlights. There. One, that would be a very bright one, but there's a not so bright one there. Plunk, plunk, plunk. There, and see what these ones look like here. Okay, this needs to be, just give it a little bit of another coat. Same with this one. Trouble is, when you do highlights, you tend to put on thick paint, and I'm trying not to have striations in my paintwork because of the application of the glazes down the road. And yet I haven't forgotten the one on the left. Well, I had. There. And it's darker than the other ones. Right. And just a few more sort of bits of light play on the blue bottle here. The object is you get all the important work done, I suppose, and then, oh, one down there. You get all the important work done, so the just lightly glazing the colour over. Now, when I glaze, I start out doing it all lightly and everything, and hesitantly, and then I change to opaque paint, but it's just painting with this huge safety net. There's something that I don't like. I don't like the lack of symmetry here, so it offends me. There we go. That's lighter than that. Here it needs sorting out. You need sorting out. Coming in here, all asymmetrical. There. Everybody loves a London accent, don't they? Now, I was joking. Now, let's see if I can sort of just make that the same. My background was just slightly too dark for my liking. That comes down there like that, and then another big ridge. It's what, 35 years since I lived in London, and I don't think I've ever lost the accent, but it's definitely been moderated, you know, by living here. And I think I must have sounded like a Del boy when I first arrived. I used to get the lads at work, you know, sort of would, you know, I'd say something and then, you know, for example, the word 30, and they would sort of just repeat it back to me in what they heard, which was 30. So maybe I was talking like that. I didn't think I did, but no. Right, and now let's have a look at the really bright highlights with titanium white. Tiny little blobs of titanium white. There, I can see one here. I can see one here. And on the top there, you can see my hand shaking. Right. I'm fearful. Highlight there, highlight there. Might even just sort of restate those ones as very bright ones. Where else have I must have missed it. There's one there. Certain of the bits of crap on from being in the studio for so long, I'm not going to do them. There is a kind of a brighter part down here which I actually haven't. It's not highlights, but I just want to restate this part here, which you can do with this technique very easily. There, and also. No, darker than that, but lighter than the darkest dark. Yeah, that's better. Down there like that. Just like that. And push that up. Anything else there? Yeah, there's a bit of a thing there. A thing. I'm starting to lose my ability to talk. And back to the foreground. Oh, there you go. Whacked it again. That's what you get for painting around cameras. That doesn't agree. Nobody told me. That's got to agree with the background though, the other side, hasn't it? But that's easy to rectify. Yeah, that's better. Oh, done it again. There must be an easier way to hold the cameras. I'm just going to turn off the microphone just for a second, and they're going to... Which means I should be able to go with that again. Yeah, probably needs another coat. I think that'll do for tonight. So I'm going to just turn the camera off. Where are we? Hello. Oh, here, hang on. Let's have a look. Control. Is that right? Control 2, Control 3. Okay. Let's bring it over. Because it's tonal, I don't suppose the colour will matter as much this time. So it doesn't look great under that. Come on, let me move the palette. See what it looks like on the palette one. Oh yeah, it kind of looks better there, although it doesn't look in focus. Give me a moment. That looks better, doesn't it? Yeah, that's better. Don't know why the cameras keep sort of coming out of focus like that, but there you go. Right, let's have a look. So mine's Ivor. Oh right, okay, great. Oh, you were too kind. Yeah, that's very nice of you to say so. Yeah, but it's a very forgiving sort of way of painting, I think. So do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just go into. Let me just go McSherryStudio.com. Let's have a look. And I'm going to just go into my website for a second because I do have references to the. Oh, here, hang on. Here we go. Command copy. Oh, it's there. Is it? No, hang on. What am I doing? Window capture. Where are we? Cammy's palette. No. Yes, that's it. Okay, so let me go into my work. So to see my essential work. Sounds great, doesn't it? Right, so let's see where that is. The 50 seconds, which one was it? It was around the Fighting Irish, I think it was in there. Just bear with me for a second. Right. Oh, there you are, Waverley. There's a couple of lines from a great song Dick Gaughan used to sing. I loved it, or I still love it. Erin Gabra. Where are we? I think most of these were done. Oh God, it's not even in there. Where is it? Revolution it's called. No. Do hang on around. It's Flights of Fancy, maybe. Tum-dee tiddle-dee tum. Never bring technology to a meeting. Here we go. Well, there's one for a start. Hang on, is there another one? No. See, that's one that I did. Because my mother was a nurse, and you know, in the National Health Service, and she came over the first draft of young women to be trained as nurses. No, she didn't look like that, but I kind of have a great fondness for that era of you know, the way people presented themselves. Now, a nurse wouldn't have her hair like that either. But so it's just, I took a bit of artistic license. But that is entirely done with the colours you see, and in fact, there's not even any titanium white in there. So there's just those three colours. Let's have a look. That's not the same. That was done like that. That was done the same way, except coloured afterwards. That's more like my mother. So just out of my head, really. And the thing about that I love about Sennelier warm bright yellow, and let me just give you the number. You want to write it down. It's 513 is the number, the Sennelier sort of number there paints. So number 513. It looks as if it's emitting light. It's an amazing paint. I absolutely love it. So there we go. Yeah, that one exactly the same way. Although I think I just put some red on the bubble hat and on the chip shop. That's the street where I grew up. There's my mother sort of on her rounds as a district nurse, and she took me out on the rounds, you know, from time to time. You know, my sister was younger than me, same thing used to happen. And that car in the background, I think it's a Renault, what? Is it a Renault 10 or whatever? Can't remember. That was the first car we ever had. And my mother learned to drive in that. And the chip shop was just down there on the right, at the end of the road. And behind the viewer is 6 lanes of highway, and then running on stilts above it is the M4 motorway, which is another 6 lanes. Yeah, so that was done the same way. There's all different sort of. Oh yeah, back to the beginning. I can't find the one that I actually wanted to look. Let me have a look, see if this thing works. There. Revolution. I hope I'm not sort of boring you, but let's see whether that sort of comes up with anything. A search facility on my website. I never use it. I don't suppose anyone else does either. It's not really doing anything. Limited edition prints it might be in. Let me see what's in there. It's a painting I'm particularly proud of. I hope I can find it. Is that the limited edition prints? Limited edition? It says it is. You can never find anything when you go looking for it, can you? That one there with the houses on the lower bottom right, that was done the same way. New. One last page, and then I'll give up if I can't find it. Oh, there it is. This one. Yeah, McSherryStudio.com. Here, this is the one here. Right. Okay. So, like, there are some colours in there, but there's only little bits of colour. For example, the blue around that word revolution, the paraphernalia on that lamppost, and the red door, for example, and the lights shining on the road. All the rest of it is done exactly the same way, including the turd at the bottom. of the lamppost. You know, I wanted to be one of the few artists to, you know, actually include a turd in my artwork. So that was it. Yeah. So there you go. That's all done the same way. Let me go back to the thing. Yeah, I like it. I think it's a really good way. Is that gonna? Am I back here? Can you see me? Oh, sorry. Here we go. That's what I meant to do. The thing about it is that painting of the guy, the graffiti artist that I just showed you, I built that painting out of my head as I went along. It became the way it is now. And I don't think I would have been able to do that so easily had I just gone straight to colour. I was able to work out the thing, work out what I was trying to say as I went along. So maybe, you know, the poster wasn't in the lamppost wasn't in there at the moment, and there's kind of an addition of an election poster put on the lamppost, which was an election that was happening at the time in Ireland, and you know, so there were kind of various things that kind of got added or even removed as I went along, and that's what I like about this technique. It's just you know, another string to your bow. I mean, if you do it, it allows you to get the thing right before you start committing to colour. That's the way I see it anyway. Waverley, you should work well in the old grey tune. Yeah, yeah. Do just paints sort of. It doesn't. Does it have to be? What I mean, I don't know what grey tune you are in, but there's a Belfast artist that I just really like called. Oh crikey, what's his name? Jonathan McHugh, and he I don't know where he is. He's somewhere near Belfast, I think. I've never met him, but really good painter. And he makes Northern Ireland, you know, the areas all around him look like Sorrento, and he kind of forces perspective, different kinds of perspective, and I kind of just think that's gorgeous. His work. You should look him up. I think he might call himself B Pencil, you know, B as in a buzzy bee, BEE pencil.com, I think. But Jonathan McHugh, and look, and it's kind of harder and harder to find his acrylics paintings now. They're not done in the same way as this. I'm not quite sure how he does his paintings, but they're usually acrylics. Now, a lot of them were illustrations for example, London Transport. So he kind of won awards doing that kind of stuff. Really nice. So it doesn't have to be the grey tune that you live in. There's some great architecture in Scotland. All that sort of Scottish baronial stuff. I think it's really lovely. My daughter lives in Glasgow, you know, so I went there for the first time just last year. No, this year, and you know, it is impressive. You know, probably familiarity breeds contempt, doesn't it? But there are lots of lovely places. I intend to go back and do a bit more exploring on my motorbike next year. So yeah, maybe Waverley doesn't want to sort of reveal where they live. Otherwise, they sort of come after him in the town. All right, listen, guys. So next week, what I'm going to do is set that up again and add colour. Oh, Howick. In fact, you've probably said that before. God, now I have to look up where Howick is. Is that near the borders? I don't know. I'm woefully ignorant. I'm so sorry. I'll find out next year when I go. I went on the motorbike and I went to Larne in Northern Ireland, which is above Belfast, and across to Stranraer and up the Ayrshire coast. It was absolutely gorgeous, and it was sunny. It was splendid. It was like a picture postcard. Now on the way back, it pissed down, but for a while there, it was absolutely glorious. Yeah, enjoyed every minute of it. And I camped in a campsite outside Glasgow because I'm a cheapskate. I didn't want to pay for a hotel. I enjoy camping. All right. Borders. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the other thing is I want to go and see Hadrian's Wall. And what's it? The Antonine Wall that's there as well. What a place. Yeah. Not far from Edinburgh. Yeah, of got to go there. Listen, guys, have a lovely evening. Next week I'll add colour and see how that goes, and see if we can arrive at painting. You know, that I may have arrived the same kind of result through alla prima, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, you never know whether these things are going to become successful or not. But have a good safety net now. Listen, have a lovely evening, guys. Do take care of yourselves. Any sort of I should mention the $ underneath, or you can buy me a coffee or whatever. It helps keep the thing going. I still find that to get those words out when I on a live stream. But listen, guys, have a lovely week, and paint oils, paint small, paint often, and now paint acrylics as well. Cheerio.